Alright guys, kind of moving on to the next project because the Duster's at a bit of a standstill. So nobody actually commented on that video. I did get some on my Instagram. The Charger, 1970 500. Now, my Chargers are a bit different than most people's. The 68 was in really good condition, and then it got crushed in a windstorm out here where I live. So the roof now tops out on the driver's side, pushing to the passenger side. And that car was a lot more solid than this one. Now, these cars were started, and I've owned them for about 8-10 years now. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to update you guys on those. Back then it was just me doing the cars, and a big issue I had is I tore them down too far to build back up. This car I did quarters, wheelhouse tubs, trunk floor, new deck lid, and then I also had the car dustless sandblasted. Now the dustless sandblasting was a great idea, but I should have left the car at the point where the quarter panels were only cut a little bit, and then did the dustless sandblasting and dealt with it after that. What I did is blew this car completely apart. So far apart that it's been really miserable to put anything back on because there has not been a ton of videos on these Chargers. But there's a new guy that I really like on YouTube. There's about 2 to 3 new guys on YouTube that I've recently found, and Facebook has been such a help when it comes to these forums. Obviously, everyone knows Chris Birdstrong, everyone knows Rust Bucket Restos, and then there's another guy on a forum, I don't remember his name right now, just been super helpful with helping get measurements on this car that I don't have. So it's really made me want to start the car again. Now, and a big thing, I'm going to show you guys kind of what's been done to the car in pictures. That's all I got. It was big on Facebook with me and my friends and the following I had on there, but it was never in any groups or anything. And then I'm going to walk you guys around what's already done on the car. It looks pretty decently complete right now, but it's all just held together by sheet metal screws and bolts. So there's not a lot to the car other than when I bought it, it had a dash, and that was the only reason the 70 came in the shop first. The 68 actually doesn't have a dash. I know they're both clean because I've sent them into the DMV with the paperwork to have them ran. For the 70 we're going to get into, I'm going to cut you guys out for a second. I'm going to walk you around the car, and we're going to walk around the parts, and then from there we're just going to finish it up with some pictures of what this car was all about when I purchased it and what I've kind of did to the car. Now, a lot of the stuff I took off the car, I know for some reason people with Mopars really love that original metal and those original whatever that came with the car. I'm willing to get rid of all that, except for what's on the car right now. I mean, I've got a 70 fender. It's not bad. It's pretty good, but it's also a little beat up. If anyone wants that, send me a message. We can get that worked out. If you want the original quarter panels, the original deck lid, any of that stuff, message me. It's all for sale. I just didn't want to mess with it at the time. I had the money to buy new stuff, so I bought everything new for this 70 and that 68. The only thing I really don't have for these cars is interior. Don't have seats, don't have any of that. I've got all the glass, I think. I've got all the door parts. I've got multiple doors, actually. I've got everything really to put this car back together, at least one of the cars. Other things I am missing is a K-frame and another rear end for one whole set of the car. Other than that, I've got enough to put this car together. I've got random engines and transmissions sitting around the shop. They're not original. Nothing about these cars will ever be original. But we're going to work on it, and we're going to get some work done. So let's cut out. I'm going to walk you guys around the car, and then I'm going to walk you around my parts, and then we're going to go into some pictures. I hope you guys follow along, at least for this first one, because this is going to be the next build or whatever we do on the channel. And these videos really do help me just stay on track and actually keep working on these cars. So that's why I really enjoy doing them. And if a couple people like them or even watch them, that's really cool for me. That makes me feel, doing the videos, it makes me actually get the work done, so it's good for me. And if you guys are having fun watching them, definitely appreciate it too. So let's get to work here. Alright guys, let's get into talking about this Charger and what's been done to it since about the 10 to 8 years I've owned it. I really can't track it down. I'll have to look at the pictures and see if there's any data on them to show when I did. But as you guys can see, this is my 70 Charger. Now this thing was very rough. The pictures are going to come after so you guys can see the shape it was in, and I'll probably talk over those. But I mean, looked good to me when I was putting all this metal on. A lot better than what it looked like. A big issue I had with this car is I took it apart way too far and didn't add on when I should have. I really should have did the wheelhouses or the trunk lid one at a time. Instead, I tore this thing down to no frame rails and just a straight unibody and had it dustless sandblasted. The dustless sandblasting I'm super praised for because it really did take care of a lot of the rust on this thing, something I didn't do with the duster. And it did mean a lot to me to have it done. But as you guys can see, it's pretty mocked up. I mean, it fits. It's probably not perfect yet. What I've been doing for a lot of this car, let me get down here. You guys see those marks in the ground? We've got some measurements written down. We've got 0.2A there with a plus, more lettering. I have to excuse the lettering. It's kind of faded. The roof leaks back here, so that's why it's spray painted. Let's get you guys down here again. Let me ditch my phone. Okay. So, kind of a bad angle for the camera. Ooh, bottom side of that car needs to be fixed up. Anyway, you guys kind of see this. So, we've got a little bit of bracing going on, not a lot. I did a terrible job bracing this entire car. But it's nice because I just found all my... I have legitimately been looking for these for the duster for like ages, and I guess I didn't even think to come back here and look. But we have new frame rails, new trunk lid, new trunk lid extensions, new wheel wells, new quarters, and a new deck lid. Now, the front floor is actually pretty solid. I just wanted to patch that because when I ordered all this stuff, I ordered for 2 chargers. It was, I think it was about $15,000 to $18,000 from AMD. And I was appraised just to afford that. But there is a lot of stuff about this car we need to finish. The frame rails are actually just screwed in right now and bolted in certain areas. Need to finish that. All that assembly is still loose from the rockers being put in. I mean, really need to go through the roof and this. It's the little things that are going to get this car starting to feel like it's going back into order. But a lot of this is new. And a lot of this is going to be fun for me. Everything on the back half of this car is brand new. Frame rails all the way back are brand new. Taillight panels brand new. The only thing about this is I'm not a big fan of the 70 Charger. So our fenders, which are also brand new, are actually 69. You can't buy 70s if I'm correct. But we're going to dig into this car. We're really going to... I think first of all we should probably prep it so it doesn't rust anymore. That's probably what we're going to do in whatever video that is. This first video is probably just going to be my walk around. So let's prep it, let's brace it up, and then we'll start working on it. Because we have all the parts to put back, at least one charger back together. And a lot of it's been done, the little things like the pumpkins cleaned, was clean until it started raining. Everything else is clean, the leaf springs were painted. There's a door, another door right there. Hinges are brand new. The door needs a patch. A lot of this car was actually prior to me getting a 110 Miller, so I was using a 220. Wasn't the best option, but I'm going to show you guys real quick just some of the parts. Extra doors. I know one of the doors was left together because I didn't want to not know how to put them back together. And you guys will have to ignore the brightness outside. We're in a blizzard, but in that box is a lot of the original parts that came off the 68 and the 70. And I was young, I shouldn't have stored it outside, but I did. Now, for the benefit, here's all the metal to put 2 Dodge Chargers back in full metal finish. We've got another trunk floor, another wheelhouse, another rocker panel. The 68 got hit with a sickle mower on the driver's side, so it crushed a lot of that. The only thing I don't have for the 68 that I really wanted to order is, I have 2 rocker panels. Never mind, that's ridiculous. I did not know that. Torsion bar, I think that's for the 68 too. I did not know I had that either. It's crazy. Haven't been in this parts section for about 6 years, as you guys can tell. I mean, look at that dust. It's been 6 years for me too. Got hood hinges, did not know that either. this, you guys, is just parts ordered and I never worked on. Making the videos for the duster really did help me actually feel like I was finishing a project and being able to follow it. The thing with this car is I didn't bag anything, I didn't take pictures when I took it apart. Do all that stuff, it helps in the long run. Since the last, it's same day obviously, spent quite a few hours looking at the car and realizing just how overwhelming it is to jump back into it and not have spent any time researching how the parts fit, which metal goes in front of which metal caves around where. So what we're going to do to start off is we've taken off the deck lid, the fenders. We're going to vacuum out the inside of the car. We're going to vacuum out the rear side of the car. And we're going to take a look at the frame rails. We're going to get those welded back to the car, the rear ones. They're still bolted in. They haven't been traced. They haven't been anything. They haven't been set to the trunk pan. But we're going to take the frame rails and we are going to weld them back to the car itself. And before we do that, we're going to get our plumb bob back out and we're just going to put it in some relative hole and see how it does and see, you know, X pattern, how far off we are from that front rail to that back side to this front rail to that back side. And I know there was a way to do it because I did it once. Other than that, we're going to reset the jack stands and we are going to do some more measurements. We're going to try to get the car as level as it can be, and then we're going to fit the firewall section in and get that down, at least in the car. And I'm going to look for some images to see how that actually goes. We're going to need some measurements for the front end of the car, and we're going to need to make more braces, if anything, just from down. We need a patch here. I don't know if I got that thickness of metal, so we're going to work on that. But for now, let's get the car vacuumed out. It still has oh yeah, we stopped. We thought about what we were doing, and we realized we have a pretty big problem. So, down in here, I was really looking at it and just wondering what I did, and looking at this rust and the screws I still have in, and I stuck my hand through the cowl part here. And I've got so much sand in there, it's not funny. And the car was dustless sandblasted, so I should have known this would happen. And if you think that's bad, I mean, I can go in here and still grab handfuls. So we need to stop, reassess, make a thing for the vacuum to get up in there. So we've got this, got some bendy hose. We need to go up in there. We need to get the car ready to start working. This isn't the funnest stuff, but it's what we got to do. I know sand kills vacuums. We're going to be as gentle as we can. Let's get to work, you guys. We're just going to set you in a lap for like maybe a few minutes so you see what I'm doing to get in there. But we need to get that sand out. We need to do it now. So we're going to get into it, okay? Alright guys, we're back in the aftermath. I mean, when you think about it, it's not a lot of sand, but that's all sand. So it's a good day. We got a lot of it out. I just stuck the air hose through the vents there on the front, and then just kind of started blowing air, getting random tubes and stuff and holes I could, and we got a lot of the sand out. I think almost dang near all of it. You're never gonna get all of it. It's sand. No matter where you go, you always have sand if it has sand there. We got a lot of it out, so let's find the new project and we'll catch you guys back when we're ready for that, okay? So stay tuned again. Hi everyone. Project. Disassemble the car. I don't know what I was thinking. I used pop rivets. I don't comment on that. I got some sheet metal screws. I got some little bolts and nuts. We're gonna take all this off because I can't remember what I was thinking or if it's even close. And there's stuff I need to do before we put this on, and I didn't do any of that. The rear windows aren't in, the regulators aren't in. They're not wire brushed, they're not painted, there's nothing. I don't know what I was thinking. So we're gonna re-go through all this and take the car back apart. I don't know if I'm gonna take the door off because I remember doing that and it was miserable with one person. And it took me hours to get it back even to a half decent placement. But let's get back to it. We're gonna rip the quarters off. We're gonna take the tail panel out, all that stuff. All that stuff's coming off, and I don't even know where I'm gonna put it yet, so we gotta figure that out too. But let's get back to work. Have you guys follow along as we disassemble and pull all these pop rivets out, because I don't know what I was thinking when I put them in. So let's get to it. Hi guys, we're back. At least I'm not, no, let's be honest, I was as dumb as I thought I was when I was that age, taking this car apart and putting it back together. I will give myself credit, everything's painted, at least to a sense. You ever just wanted to go back in time and kind of kick your own keister? I'd say that's one of them. I don't know what made me do that and not go to Menards and spend $5 on a box of metal screws, but I'll never understand that. Now this is what I'm talking about. None of this is prepped. None of the track is in here. And I looked in there. I really didn't prep any of this car to go back together. So we're gonna deal with that now. Let's check in there. Ah, we got sand in there too, a pillar. So, now the car's, let's be honest, it's pretty blasted apart. The only other thing I really want to take off is the trunk right there. I want to separate the trunk floor from the frame rails I have in. And as we're taking everything off, we're making sure we label it. Wasn't labeled when I put it on, should have been, or should have kept everything in the original box so I knew what it was. Another issue I am seeing is the wheelhouses really don't line up with here, and it's sucking a lot of that car back down. And I can tell it's not the car itself, it's just me and how I have the fitment, because right here, you can see where I take the original one off. It's not up far enough. It's like right at the halfway of the holes I have drilled. It needs to go up quite a bit. So we're gonna have to figure that out. In the meantime, something easy to do, I think this is still the package tray or whatever you call it, windage tray. We're going to take our time to scuff this up again, vacuum it out, see if we got some seam sealer. Actually, we won't seam seal it yet, but what we're gonna do is spray it or pour 15 it. This car is gonna be the same as the Duster and get poured, but everything you guys just saw for sand and problems, we're gonna fix. I would like to stiffen up the front, so we are going to quickly knock off some metal that I never took off from the original radiator support, or whatever you want to call it. And it's just this tab. With that tab gone, that other one should slide right in. And then I just want to stiffen the whole car up. I know right now it's lopsided, that side's high, that side's low, and I know that because that jack stand's actually farther up the frame rail and that one's back on the frame rail. What I'm gonna do first is we're gonna jack the car a little bit, try to get those back, and then we're gonna build some welded trusses or whatever. On the rear we have them. It's just me, I put a piece of metal in there, put a bolt through it, and we welded something to it. So it's just there to hold it. It's bracing the car. The rear is braced really well because it's just on the floor with a piece of wood and two jack stands. The front, God, I hope I didn't do anything to this car because one's super high and one's super low, and it has been like this for 10 years. Let's be honest, there wasn't really a lot of car left to bend it. So let's get to work. We're gonna keep on cleaning. I'm not gonna bring you guys along for that, but whenever we start next, we're gonna start fixing stuff. We're gonna start putting it back together. We're gonna start putting some metal back on. Right now, we fully took it apart so we could clean it, we can prep it. I lied, we're gonna have the pouring of that tray or whatever just to kind of show it. Other than that, we're gonna go back to fixing the car and fixing the errors I made when I was younger. So, let's get back to it, guys. The big thing is we are going to get those frame rails welded in. Obviously, the trunk floor and where the frame rails are now, let's get some measurements, let's get them back together because there's no way we're gonna keep letting those hang. I want that welded together. That'll be the first piece we put on. Let's do it, let's get it done. That's what we're gonna focus on after we clean it. So we're gonna focus on getting those frame rails measured. We're gonna focus on getting those frame rails in. So let's do that. Hope you guys follow along. This is the 1970 Dodge Charger. It's my car. Let me know what you guys think. This thing is going to be ratty. There was not enough to make this anything but a ratty car. This is gonna be a car that I drive. This is gonna be a car that I take down dirt roads. As Chris Birdsong says, it's to drive your car. Don't have the money to fully restore this to a Dodge Charger, but I do have enough money to make it fun. I have enough to make this a car I want to drive every day down some roads and sell other cars, but keep this one. So let's see if we can actually make that happen. Let's see if I can actually make this car run and drive. See if we can get this thing back together. Okay guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Give me some hints, give me some tips. Give me some people who are restoring these cars or have some measurements for these cars. A lot of this back in the day, like I said, it's a string and a plumb bob. It's not the greatest, but it's what I have. So, show me some love, you guys. Show me some support on this car. Let's get working.